Hi, this is a parliamentary procedure video to show you how parliamentary procedure runs. This is meant to be a short tape to give you the basics of parliamentary procedure. At this time, the General Assembly plenary is now in order. I will begin with roll call. Chile. Delegates, please speak up so I may hear you. Chile.
Present.
China.
Present.
Peru.
Present.
Spain.
Present.
United Kingdom.
Present.
United States.
Present.
We'll set topic order. Are there any motions on the floor? Chile, to what point do you rise?
I rise to change the order of the agenda to make situation in Kosovo the first topic.
There's been a motion on the floor to change the order of topics from 2 to 1, situation in Kosovo, then Pinochet's extradition. Is there a second for such motion?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by raising your placards. United States, to what point do you rise?
Just a point of parliamentary inquiry. Is there supposed to be speakers for and against in this situation?
Yes, you're right. I apologize. There will be one speaker for and one speaker against. Is there a speaker for changing the topic? Chile. Is there a speaker against? United States. Chile, you're recognized for 30 seconds.
The situation in Kosovo is much more dire and urgent. As Pinochet is currently in a hospital under house arrest, the situation in Kosovo continues to deteriorate. And as winter is coming on now, we could see even more deaths happening in this area. Clearly, Kosovo is more urgent.
Thank you, Delegate. United States, you're recognized for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fellow delegates, I believe it's absolutely crucial that we address the situation that's most pressing, and that's the situation with the arrest of Pinochet. It's a potentially very dangerous international disagreement between Chile, Spain, and the UK, and I think we need to resolve it in a way that's acceptable to everyone. And finally, I think Kosovo is being handled quite well by NATO, and I think we can continue to do that without addressing it in this committee.
Thank you, United States. There's been a motion to change the topic order from 2 to 1, meaning the situation in Kosovo, to Pinochet. If this fails, the topic agenda will remain as there is no possible way of changing it. All those in favor of changing the topic agenda, reading situation in Kosovo and then Pinochet's extradition, please signify by raising your placards. This requires a 2/3 vote. All those against? This motion fails by a vote of 4 to 2, or 2 to 4, excuse me. Therefore, the topic agenda is now set at Pinochet's extradition and the situation in Kosovo. At this time, I will open the speakers list. All those wishing to speak on this matter at this time, please signify by raising your placards. Afterwards, you can send a note to me and I will add you to the speakers list. United Kingdom. Chile. China. Spain. United States. Peru. At this time, I will entertain a motion to set the amount of time for debate. Is there such motion on the floor? Peru.
Motion to set speaking time at 1 minute.
There's been a motion to set speaking time at 1 minute. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Are there any other motions on the floor? Seeing none, we will now vote on setting the speaking time at 1 minute. This is a procedural matter. Everyone must vote. All those in favor of setting the speaking time to 1 minute, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This passes. Speaking time is now set at 1 minute. Are there any motions on the floor? Seeing none, United Kingdom, you're recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. This is a pressing matter. Now, Senator Pinochet is indeed in a hospital in London, and he has been charged by crimes from Spain, and so we are requesting that this body recognize the grave nature of his crimes and that he be allowed to go to Spain to face trial for his crimes that he did against the Spanish people. Now, this body has met quite often and discussed genocide and the crimes against humanity, and this is a unique opportunity right now for us to follow up on those types of discussions and pass a resolution which I'm looking forward to seeing one come forward, and condemn this kind of act and bring these type of people to justice. I yield the rest of my time to the chair.
Thank you, United Kingdom. Are there any other motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, Chile, you are recognized for 1 minute.
Indeed, a crime has been committed. It has been committed by the United Kingdom and by Spain. These two countries have interfered with a diplomat from my country on a diplomatic agenda. He was under diplomatic passport, and this is a violation of national sovereignty, one of the most sacred of all of the United Nations ideals. And because of this, we demand that Pinochet be released from this torturous and, may I say, unjustified arresting by the country of the United Kingdom. Instead, he must be a free citizen and a diplomat, and that is what Chile demands.
Chile, thank you. How do you wish to dispose of your remaining time?
I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you. Are there any motions on the floor? Seeing none, China, you are now recognized for 1 minute.
I rise in support from the delegate from Chile. This is a grave situation in which we must proceed in a judicious manner, but we must recognize the ideal of national sovereignty. Once we start to move against this idea, it'll make it even more difficult for a body such as the United Nations to continue with negotiations across the world to address different urgent needs, such as the situation in Kosovo. Without diplomatic immunity and without the ability of free passage, we could see a lot of things that the United Nations can proceed with, no longer able to. I yield the rest of my time to the delegate from Chile.
Chile, you are recognized for 15 seconds.
I just want to say thank you very much to the delegate from China. He recognizes, just as I do, the importance of national sovereignty.
Thank you, Chile. Are there any other motions on the floor? Spain, to what point do you rise?
Spain rises to the motion of introducing a resolution regarding the extradition of Pinochet.
Okay, could you please submit it to the chair? Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing that we don't have copies of draft resolution, I will read it aloud. This is a draft resolution from Spain regarding the extradition of Pinochet. Appalled by the human rights atrocities that occurred during Pinochet's regime in Chile, wanting to see justice served in this matter, calls for the extradition of Pinochet to Spain to stand trial for the murder of several Spanish citizens by his government in Chile. Delegates, as a general policy, it is diplomatic courtesy to allow all draft resolutions to be submitted for debate. By voting for such motion, you're neither in favor of or in opposition of such a resolution. You're merely saying that it may be discussed. And in this point that you can discuss, it's several points. All those in favor of allowing draft resolution to be submitted for debate, please China, to what point do you rise?
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Mhm.
Doesn't every motion require a second? Was there a second on this motion?
No, yeah, I did not receive a second. Thank you, delegate. Is there a second for such motion? United Kingdom, thank you. All those in favor of submitting this draft resolution for debate, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This draft resolution has been submitted. It will be numbered GA, Roman numeral 1/1. Are there any motions on the floor? Seeing none at this time, the chair recognizes Spain for a period of 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this point, the country of Spain would like to acknowledge that he agrees with the aspect of diplomatic immunity. However, as we've discussed in this many times before, the crime of genocide is not worth receiving diplomatic immunity. the crimes that Pinochet created against our people is just strong atrocity. We are just appalled that people will not help us in this situation. We just urge everyone to agree with our situation. It is a situation that could happen to any country. If we do allow these crimes to continue, we will only see them happening in the future. At this point, the speaker will yield to any questions.
Are there any questions for the delegate? United States.
Would the delegate be willing to consider a compromise solution which would not result in Pinochet being tried in Spain?
At this point, the country of Spain does not feel that a fair trial would be received in a country other than Spain. Spain needs to see this happen within its own.
I'm sorry, delegate. Time has expired. Are there any motions on the floor? Seeing none, the chair now recognizes the United States for 1 minute.
Well, I'm glad we have the opportunity to at least have a resolution on the floor, but delegates, I don't think that this resolution solves the problem that we have before us, which is how to deal with a diplomat or maybe a former diplomat who arguably did commit crimes of genocide. And I will say that there's some potential here for us to find an international solution that could be used in the future for future problems like this. But I think what would probably work best is for a body outside of Spain and outside of Chile to have the opportunity to try, according to international law, General Pinochet. Obviously, Spain would be very active in the prosecution, but we need to find a solution that doesn't result in Chile having to essentially waive diplomatic immunity for Pinochet. I do agree, however, with the remarks that have been said before. Diplomats are not protected when they're accused of crimes against humanity, such as genocide. I'll yield the remainder of my time to the chair.
Thank you. Are there any motions on the floor? United States, to what point do you rise?
I'd like to move for a 2-minute unmoderated caucus to suspend the meeting for 2 minutes.
That is in order. Is there a second for such motion?
Second.
All those in favor for suspending the meeting for 2 minutes for the purpose of an unmoderated caucus, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This meeting is now suspended for a period of 2 minutes. Delegates, you are to remain on the topic, and no one may leave aside from a point of personal privilege. Delegates, we are now in a unmoderated caucus for 2 minutes.
The country's, I just basically don't see how having the trial held into another country would create the message of how these crimes be accepted. We need to make a point.
It's obviously a
and be
lesser
solid.
solution.
It's a lesser solution. It's not proving to people that the crimes cannot be committed. We have to be firm on this situation. We can't allow for any wishy-washy happenings.
I think, though, that the trials in Nuremberg and the trials in Yugoslavia and the trials in Rwanda all clearly show the international community that we're willing to take that tough stance.
But with that, you have, yes, maybe they resolve to a degree the situation, but these things are continuing to happen. I think it's time that we make sure that things don't continue to happen. We need to make a strong stand that shows quick justice and severe justice.
Well, I don't think you're going to be able to get that, first of all, because I don't think that the international community can support extraditing Pinochet to Spain. And I guess what I would ask the delegate is if we cannot get Pinochet extradited to Spain, would you be willing to accept and support a resolution which involve extradition to an international body that's outside of Spain?
At the very least, but I still urge you, as a strong member of the United Nations, to lean towards Spain and help Spain in this situation.
So do you guys have a counter proposal?
Chile?
That's a no?
Chile would be willing to have such a trial, but only inside the country of Chile itself. We wouldn't mind international observers.
Delegates, time has expired. Are there any motions on the floor? Seeing none, Peru, you are recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I would like to thank all of the people who have been speaking so far, especially Chile and China, for their strong support of national sovereignty and diplomatic immunity. These two issues must be kept highly in mind because they're such important members of of the work that we are doing here. It's impossible for us to continue to be diplomats, to be delegates, if we are possibly going to be arrested in foreign countries. And we must take into consideration the fact that Pinochet was in the UK for medical purposes, a purely humanitarian effort, because he was in a country where he could not receive the medical treatment that he needed. So what we need to do is to stop this seizing of diplomats in foreign countries, because if we continue to do this, we'll just fall down the slippery slope, and who knows what could happen from that point on. I yield the rest of my time to the chair.
Thank you. Are there any points or motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, United Kingdom, you are recognized for 1 minute.
Well, I'd like to thank the delegate from Peru for complimenting the United Kingdom's fine medical services. But the question still remains that this man came to the United Kingdom not as a diplomat at all, and does not have diplomatic immunity. And, and indeed it is a sovereignty question, but let's look at it a few years back. These were Spanish citizens that were killed. Where's the sovereignty there? Where's the rights of the Spanish government to pursue criminals that act on Spanish citizens? And so here's a man who has committed all these crimes and is now trying to hide behind a non-existent cloak of diplomatic immunity, which he is not granted due to his position. And the crime itself means that diplomatic immunity, even if it could be used, is not valid. The crime of genocide overweighs any diplomatic immunity that a country might present. And so I think this resolution that has been presented by Spain should receive all our support.
Thank you,
very
Delegate.
much.
Time has expired. Are there any other motions or points at this time? Seeing none, the chair now recognizes Chile for a period of 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Chile would like to, first of all, express a little bit of wonderment why the UK is so adamantly for this when they have occupied a territory of another country, namely Ireland, for many, many years, and they have killed many people, yet the Irish government seems to want to be making peace. In much the same way, Chile would love the opportunity to make peace in such a scenario. All we require is that our diplomat be returned to us. And we do thank the British for trying to take care of Pinochet in terms of his humanitarian efforts of medical treatment. However, he is a diplomat, and he is a full-time senator of our country. And because of that, he should be returned to Chile. This is a dangerous precedent to set. It is a violation of national sovereignty. Thank you very much.
Delegate, how do you wish to yield your time?
I wish to yield my time back to the chair.
Thank you. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Peru.
Motion to extend speaking time to 1 minute and 30 seconds.
That is in order. Is there a second?
Second.
This is a procedural matter. It requires everyone to vote. All those in favor of extending speaking time to 1 minute and 30 seconds, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This motion passes by a vote of 4-2. At this time, speaking time is now extended to 1 minute and 30 seconds. United States, to what point do you rise?
I'd like to move to introduce a draft resolution concerning the extradition of Pinochet and the murders of Spanish citizens.
That is in order. Do I hear a second?
Second.
So seconded. Seeing that we have no copies, I will read it. Concerned about the alleged murders of Spanish citizens by the Pinochet regime, realizing that murder in any form is highly illegal and immoral, seeking to find an equitable resolution to this issue. 1. Calls for the extradition of Pinochet to the Netherlands. 2. Further asks that Pinochet be tried by an international tribunal, such as the International Criminal Court. 3. Recommends that similar efforts be made to capture and try those who have been accused of crimes against humanity. All those in favor of introducing this draft resolution, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This resolution is now introduced, and it shall be numbered GA1/2. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Seeing none, China, you're recognized for 1 minute and 30 seconds.
China did vote to introduce this resolution, but I want you to pay close attention to the, I believe, the third clause concerning the United Nations commitment to possible commitment to finding others of who might have committed crimes against humanity. China's concern is that who decides what crimes against humanity should be tried. Who's making that determination? Each country has a unique situation in which they might have to deal with civil unrest, deal with things of a criminal matter. And I think before we vote on this resolution, we should pay close attention to clause number 3, based on who is going to determine what crimes of humanity we should be advocating to arrest, and also whether or not we should be taking into special consideration each country's particular situation in which supposedly these crimes of humanity were committed. I just want you to pay close attention to that clause, and I yield any remaining time to the delegate from Chile.
Chile, you're recognized for 25 seconds.
Thank you very much, Delegate from China. I want to reiterate the horror that Chile thinks about this Clause 3. We would hate to see any other country go through the trying times that we are going through in our country with a diplomat being abducted for any charge at all. I yield the rest of my time to the chair.
Thank you. Are there any points or motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, the chair now recognizes Spain for 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this point, the delegate of Spain would like to thank the delegate from the United Kingdom for his continued support in this situation. And I urge the rest to help me in this situation to resolve this heinous crime. At this point, the delegate of Spain wants to question the delegate from the United States on how they would support the trial in another country. We need to have the situation solved. We need to have the situation given a strong statement. There needs to be an exclamation point of saying that this kind of action cannot be continued. And at this point, the delegate from Spain would like to yield his time to the United States to address the situation of how to guarantee that this trial would be severe and just.
United States, you're recognized for 20 seconds.
Thank you, Delegate. I cannot guarantee that the trial will be severe, but I think that we can all agree that it would probably be more just to have a more impartial judicial system examine Pinochet's acts. This is what has happened in the past with the Nuremberg trials, trials in Yugoslavia, trials in Rwanda. That's the type of solution that I think makes everybody feel justice has been served.
I'm sorry, Delegate. Time has elapsed. Delegates, I would like to remind you that once the speaking list has been expired, the debate will be closed and we will directly move into voting procedures. So please be in mind of that and keep the speakers list going if that is what this body wishes to do. Are there any points or motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, the chair now recognizes the United States for 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you. Fellow delegates, we've had a chance to consider 2 resolutions here. I think one arguably satisfies Spain's needs and desires, but doesn't satisfy the world's community's needs and desires to see genocide dealt with justly in an impartial international body. And I think that the resolution that we've brought before you today, Resolution 2, does do that. I understand China's concerns. Obviously, the delegate from the United States believes that human rights violations and genocide violations should be fought and sought out in everywhere they lurk in the world. And if we can get them and essentially every time those types of actions occur, fight hard and have a commitment to stopping them, the world would be a better place. The clause could be divided out, I think, substantively. It doesn't affect the resolution. It simply sends a message of our commitment about human rights violations and crimes such as genocide. With that in mind, I'd yield my time to questions.
Delegate, I'm sorry, but time has expired. Are there any points or motions on the floor at this time? United Kingdom, to what point do you rise?
I'd like to make a motion to change the speaking time to 45 seconds, seeing that none of us have been filling it up except for the last speaker.
That is in order. Is there a second for such motion?
Second.
All those in favor of limiting speaking time to 45 seconds, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This is tied from 3 to 3, therefore it does not pass. Speaking time is still at 1 minute and 30 seconds. Are there any other motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, the chair now recognizes Peru.
Again, thank you to the Madam Chairman. Now, we must go over a few points that have arisen since my last speech. First of all, Spain is just bound and determined to have a very harsh trial from the sounds of things. Now, do they want a trial to find justice, or do they want a trial to prove that Pinochet has killed all of these people and to make a mockery of him in front of all of the people of the world? That is what I'm wondering about. But he also mentioned the heinous crime. Now, is this heinous crime Pinochet's acts against the Spanish people, or is it possibly the extradition of Pinochet in the first place? We must take into consideration that the best place for this trial to take place, if it takes place at all, is in Chile, because it is a Chilean citizen that is being tried, and all of the crimes that took place in Chile. There is no reason that this trial should be taking place in Spain, and so I must throw all of my weight against any legislation which does not have the trial of Pinochet taking place in Chile. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time to the chair.
Are there any motions on the floor at this time? United Kingdom, to what point do you rise?
I'd like to move that we close debate, seeing that discussion is pretty much at its end, and go to voting procedures on this topic.
That is in order. Is there a second for such motion? Seconded. This requires 2 con speakers. There is no 2 for, in sense, since you're closing debate, you're already advocating that position. Are there 2 speakers to speak against? Chile? Spain. Chile, you're recognized for 30 seconds.
This issue has not been concluded in terms of discussion. I think there are more ideas out there on the table. The delegate from Peru just brought up another idea into the pool, and so I think we all need to bring this. We need to bring this up in terms of discussion and not move to closure of debate.
Thank you, Delegate. Spain, you're recognized for 30 seconds.
Spain would like to discuss this at a more with more extensiveness. The Spain wants to make sure that everyone understands that we do not want to have some mockery. We want to have justice, and we want to make sure justice is seen, and we want to have the trial in Spain in order to...
Delegate, I'm sorry, advocating what should be done is not germane to this procedural speech at all. You may speak on the topic in general regarding whether or not debate has been closed. You can start speaking about a certain position that you have.
Chair.
That you still have 10 seconds left if you would like to.
I would like to apologize to Madam Chair at this point and to my fellow delegates. I think we need to discuss this more to iron out many problems that still exist in this situation.
Thank you, Delegate. This is a procedural matter. It requires a 2/3 majority to close debate. After closure of debate, we will move into immediate voting. That means that no one may leave, and we will vote on all resolutions and amendments as are until we have finished. Seeing that, all those in favor of closure of debate at this time, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This motion carries. We have closure of debate. At this time, no one is allowed to enter or leave the room. Seeing that, speakers list is closed. We will be voting on the resolutions as they are ordered. Are there any motions on the floor? China.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
Had there been an amendment introduced earlier in the session, in which order would they have been introduced in this voting procedure?
Amendments, since they change a resolution, would be voted on first and then a resolution. If there was an amendment for the first resolution, we'd vote on that, and then, since that affects the resolution, and then vote on the resolution as a whole. If there was an amendment on the second resolution, we would vote on the first resolution first, and then move on to any amendments in the second resolution. Are there
Thank you,
any
Madam
other
Chair.
motions or points on the floor? Seeing none, we will vote on the draft resolution GA1/1, calling for the immediate extradition of Pinochet to Spain to stand trial. All those in favor of this resolution, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? Abstentions? This fails by a vote of 2 to 4 to 0. We are now in voting procedure on Resolution GA1/2. Are there any motions on the floor? China, to what point do you rise?
I rise to a motion to divide out to divide out the question, operative clause 3 on resolution GA1/2.
That is in order. Delegates, a motion to divide out the question says that you want to vote on that. His specific motion was to divide out operative clause 3. That means you want to vote on it separately. By voting in favor of dividing out the question, you just say that you want to vote on this operative clause on its own and without anything to do with the resolution. If dividing the question passes, we will then vote on operative clause 3. If operative clause 3 then passes, it remains in the resolution. If it fails, it is divided out and no longer exists. It's another way of making an unfriendly amendment at a later time. Therefore, is there a second for such motion? Seconded. All those in favor of dividing out operative clause 3 from resolution GA1/2, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This fails by a vote of 3 to 3. Are there any other motions on the floor regarding this resolution? Seeing none, we will vote on the China. To what
Make a
point do you
motion to
rise?
reconsider.
China, you can't make a motion to reconsider, considering that you were on the prevailing side. United States?
United
Thank
States,
you.
I believe, did vote on the prevailing side, and as a matter of diplomatic decorum, will move to reconsider on that question of division.
That is in order. Peru, to what point do you rise?
Point of parliamentary inquiry, how can there be a prevailing side when we tied?
A prevailing side means that if you, no matter how you voted, if you voted against it and it failed, you can bring it up for reconsidered. If you voted for it and it failed, you're not on the prevailing side, so you can't make a motion to reconsider. Therefore, China is unable to make that motion, but the United States is. So that is in order. Is there a second for a motion to reconsider by the United
Second.
States? Seconded. All those in favor of reconsidering this motion, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This passes by a vote of 4 to 2. We will now vote again on a motion to divide out operative clause 3 from resolution GA1/2. As I explained before, we will just divide this out. If it passes, we will then vote on it separately. All those in favor of dividing out operative clause 3, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This passes. We will now vote on operative clause 3 as itself. To remind the delegates, operative clause 3 reads, recommends that similar efforts be made to capture and try those who have been accused of crimes against humanity. All those in favor of passing operative clause 3, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? This is a procedural matter, delegates. All of you must vote.
Point
Yes.
of parliamentary inquiry, isn't this a substantive vote on whether to keep operative clause 3 in?
You are right, delegate. I apologize. There is room for abstentions on this one. I apologize to this body. We will vote on this again. All those in favor of passing operative clause 3, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? Abstentions? This fails by a vote of 3 to 3. Operative clause 3 has been successfully divided out. Delegates, we are now voting on resolution GA1/2 as it stands without operative clause 3. All those in favor of passing this resolution, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? Abstentions? This passes with a vote of 4 to 2 to 0. We are done with voting procedures, voted on all matters. Is there a motion on the floor? United States.
I'd like to suspend the meeting for an hour for lunch.
That is in order. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of suspending the meeting for 1 hour for the purpose of going to eat lunch, please signify by raising your placards. All those opposed? The session is now adjourned.